What's up, y'all? It's your boy Mighty Mouth here, back with another video. Today again I want to hit on the upcoming patch and my experience with GGG from what I can discern, and give you in the background a glimpse of what experience modifiers can do for you in game as long as you survive, which you'll see I didn't, but you can watch my experience bar just climb throughout this map. But anyways, let's get started on talking about the patch. Things that we know. We're going to start first and foremost with things that we know, and I'm just going to be reading off my phone because, as you know, I don't have a PC, so I can't bring up all the other things yet. I can't give you the screenshots. I'm still figuring this editing thing out. But we know there's going to be a new league and the new economy. So for those of you that don't know, a new league is basically a reset, such as seasons or ladders in the Diablo franchise, as well as the old PoE 1. If you played that, they had leagues. So your old character will be transferred to a basically legacy server where you can play with other legacy players, but they will lack typically the new league mechanics or the things that are attached directly to that season of content. And your new character that you make will be in a completely different league or server that will have some temporary, most of the time, temporary buffs or crafting capability or end-game interactions, but most of the quality of life changes that are made based on the patch are going to both things. There's typically no seasonal quality of life changes. What we know for sure are there's going to be new classes and new ascendancies. How many? That we don't know. So we've got the Huntress confirmed for sure, and we'll come back to this topic in a minute. And we have ascendancies for the Warrior and the Mercenary confirmed. Now, with that being said, there's some speculation that they're going to, I myself am speculating. I don't know. Other people are too, but I truly, in my heart of hearts, feel as if there's going to be more to this, like a lot more to this than what they've previously communicated. There's going to be a new weapon swap system, which is going to allow you to lock one or both hands when swapping. This eliminates the need for, let's say, for example, you had a maul and a shield on one hand for your, you had a cultist maul for clearing, and then you just had a leaden great hammer in your other hand for single target DPS. Then you could just lock those your main hand. You could just lock that to where your shield, your shield would just always be there, or your hammer would just always be there, or whatever. At least that's what I take it to believe. There's going to be some new support gems. For me, the thing like I've said in previous videos, the thing I'm most excited for is batter shout support. But the thing that's interesting about it, much like the can't remember if it's Devastate, where it consumes the broken armor, enable to do a 50% more damage or whatever, but you can't break armor with the skill. But what you could do is spec into the Warbringer Ascendancy where you break armor equal to 10% of your overall damage. So let's say you were shouting, right? And you killed something and it exploded. The explosion is linked to the shout because it requires a shout to explode the corpse, but it is not directly tied to the skill Seismic Cry or the skill Infernal Cry. It is just to a shout tag. So then the explosion could in theory break the armor of the monster, so the next time you shout it, it would consume the broken armor, so it would eliminate the need to have like okay, I use this skill to break their armor, and then I use the shout to consume the armor, and then you know what I mean. You could just continuously shout. But you could also do some things like have a totem that broke armor. You could use like the splinter skill gem, well, support gem, and things of that nature. You have Imbiter that converts chaos damage bonuses into cold damage bonuses, which is pretty cool. Volcanic Eruption, it triggers Molten Strike style fireballs when hitting ignited enemies. That could be something. I see people running Molten Strike. It's a little inefficient because it misses a lot. I think that's the main thing with the slam skills and the mace skills in general, is their accuracy is just so low. Like it requires you to stack so much accuracy, and then percent accuracy increases in order to guarantee a hit. Because like with Sunder, you're missing 40% of the time. Like straight up, you're missing 40% of the time. Range support buffs chaos damage over time spells, costs energy shield based on intelligence, but scales damage with intelligence. So this is another stat stacking thing. Commiserate boosts ailment effects if you are afflicted with the same ailment. So, you know, if you're ignited, then it boosts your ignite. If you're chilled, it boosts your chill. Things of that nature. Pretty self-explanatory, pretty straightforward. Perfection support grants stacks of perfection, 5% more damage per stack, up to 3 for skills that like snipe or perfect strike, things of that nature. Here's where it gets interesting. The new uniques and like the new weapon speculation subtypes. So you have the Prism Guardian Shield. Basically scales your spirit based on your maximum life. 1% maximum spirit per 50 maximum life. This, to me, right, it can do it's doing one of two things. It's either a way for warriors or gemlings who stack a ton of HP to get more spirit, or it's a hint at things to come. Like a Templar or a Druid that would want to stack lots of spirit but not have to give up other slots or other defensive mechanics. The Deepest Tower Helm. Okay, so enemies in your presence count as being on low life. And there's plenty of nodes that synergize with this in your passive tree. So that could be actually incredibly powerful, especially as this Sir Gog described. If you have a weapon that ranges between a certain low end and a certain top end, and you rolls lucky, then it gives like 3x of the bottom plus this x of the top rolled, takes the combined sums of the top 3 rolls on low life targets, and then that's just like multiplicative damage upon multiplicative damage upon multiplicative damage. Crazy. Bringer of Rain. This, to me, is probably the number one indicator, coupled with the Warrior Ascendancy, of things to come. So this is a unique helmet that allows dual wielding of two-handed axes and swords, but it prevents you from using a chest armor, which is incredibly bad, right? Like, your chest armor is where you get 90% of your defenses, because you can get so many things that give like percent increased defenses of your chest armor, right? But why would you implement a helmet that allows you to dual wield weapon sets that aren't in the game? Right? What sense does that make? What sense does it make to showcase a warrior ascendancy that's blacksmithing a sword with axes in the background if there's not swords and axes in the game? So what I'm taking that as is these are subtle hints of what's to come. Like, in my opinion, that's what they're doing. They're not guaranteeing it. They're not telling you for certain until you see it with your own eyes. So it's like a nice little surprise, like, oh my god, they actually did it. And that to me is what they're doing. 100% what they're doing. Let's continue. So you get the Maul's Mination Shield. I hope I pronounced that right. Gain additional value to the new weapon swap system, allowing it to be used across multiple setups. As far as I can tell, there's a lot of speculation around the new classes. I think Druid should be there because they've teased it the most. Like, it's had the most testing, as far as I can tell from the early on videos of players that have tested the game. But also, when you look at the Bringer of Rain, right? The helmet, it says like gladiatorial fighting, and the duelist or the gladiator, right, in PoE 1, I think it was an ascendancy, dual wielding swords, right? So these are, again, hints of what's to come. Like, we're not gonna tell you, but we're gonna bring the duelist in. We're gonna bring in these new weapon subclasses, and we're just gonna tease it because there's little things that they're saying. And then I think the warrior ascendancy is a bigger hint to that, just because it's visual. You see the axes, you see the swords, you see all that. And if it is truly an ascendancy based on like martial combat, so I'm assuming you would want many different weapon sets in that, specializing in different combats between the weapon types. Then you would want to introduce new weapon types to actually capitalize on the fact that you have that at all, if that makes sense. They're making changes to the passive tree, the Atlas passive tree, and new nodes. It looks like the Rogue Exiles, which, if you're not familiar, much like myself, I wasn't very familiar with it. I never played PoE 1. But it's kind of like the Bloodlords, or whatever they were called in Season 2 of Diablo 4. When you would do the Abattoir Azir, they'd be like exile, like okay, well, for Path of Exile, they're like exile classes with certain modifiers. It'd be like a warrior class with certain modifiers, so it's like fighting another player but with additional strengths, right? That's what these icons looked like from what I've read that people are saying, and just upon doing my own research, looking at the Atlas passive tree in PoE 1, they look very similar. So that'll give you something. They expand the shrine related interactions. Strong boxes, they're enhancing the mechanic for strong boxes, which I believe need a lot of help. The changes to the Lost Towers, I'm not going to talk much on it. It could be good, it could be bad. They're just going to allow you to get breaches and bosses and stuff like that in the towers, and then you're going to have to kill all the rare mobs. It's speculated there's going to be an Act 4. I think that would be a good thing to do. I mean, focus on endgame, but also if you can't get a lot of end game done, if you already have a little bit more of the campaign is the best part of the game right now. So just give us a little bit more of the campaign and call it a day. Let us test for a little bit until you can get us something else on, you know, to hook us in. But that's what I think. I think you're gonna have much more weapons sets coming, more multiple new classes. I think the Templar might be there, the Duelist might be there, the Druid might be there, things of that nature. If you also share that, leave a like or a comment below. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Help our channel grow. With that, I'll see you next time. Stay blessed, and as always,
Oh
stay
my
mouthy, my
God, dude, all I
friends.
had
We'll
to
see
do-
you.